Hey coaches, welcome back to Coach Chip. Today this is episode 8. We're going to talk about running the buck from spread. And if you've been paying attention, I've told you I was an old wing T guy back in the day. And when we evolved into the spread offense due to our quarterback situation and having guys that could really sling it around the yard, we just took a lot of our old concepts, especially blocking wise, because we're not guaranteed every year we're going to have big boys up front. A lot of our linemen every year, both state championship teams last 3 years, had guys that were converted, skill guys, maybe a number 3H. He said, hey, you can wear a cool number or you can wear a different number and actually play and get on the field. And so it helps when you use gap scheme with kids like that because they're blocking angles, and I'm always looking for angles in my blocking schemes, and that goes back to those wing T roots. But what I want to talk to you about today is a good old-fashioned buck sweep. And I know a lot of hardcore wing T guys will say that it's not buck if you don't have the tight end. And that's okay, I'm not going to argue, and that's fine. But we've had a lot of success doing it this way. We've done it with the Y attached, the tight end attached, when we had that type of kid. And that's another reason why we got away from the wing T, from the old-fashioned wing T, is because we just don't have year in and year out the kind of tight end, even for high school ball, that I think you need to have. And we had more skill type guys that could run in space and catch balls. And so I visited with some different people who had done things, and that's what we evolved to. Again, today we're going to be looking at it against a 4-2 or 4-4 and looking at it to the right. And I'll give you some different formations, and forgive me if I move the Z over here and I forget to erase him from over here, but that's because I just forgot. I'm not going to play with 12 people, I promise. But let's look at the buck. Oh, by the way, before we do, remember you can reach me at siegel.chip@gmail.com, siegel.chip@gmail.com, and on Twitter it's @ChipSiegel. Facebook is easy. Just look Chip Siegel and look for the old guy with the gray beard, and that'll be me. And most of everything I do these days on Facebook is public, and not real big on friend requests for people I don't know, but you can lurk me and stalk me on there and see what's going on. And we talk a little football on Facebook, but mostly I'm on Twitter to learn about football. And on Facebook, I go down there and post try to do a lot of positive stuff and funny stuff from time to time. But this YouTube channel, this is all about football. All right, let's look at the buck. All right, buck right. And the way we've been doing it as of late is we've been stalking right here. I do what's called a runoff stalk, where he'll be busting off there like he's going deep, and tell him don't even break down the block until the corner breaks down with you. So it may be way up here before he breaks down, and he'll stalk that guy, and I teach him to attack the inside because we're trying to run the buck in the alley, just like Vince Lombardi used to talk about with the old Packer power sweep. All right, the H is going to gap down backer, first thing inside. The tackle, and there's two ways to do this. Gap down backer, the traditional way, and I'll show you something later that we've had to do from time to time, and I'll show you another way that how you can still gap down backer and keep his rules the same. It just depends on what you want to do. All right, guard's going to do just what we do. We're going to pull. We're going to get that cone back here, get him some depth, and he's going to get up in here and dig out that dog, the force man. All right, center's rule, I use the same rule for him, and it may not be a wing T rule that I use on Jet. He's assigned the A-gap defender. If I got a really good center and they're going to shade us over here to the strength and put the 3 over here in an underfront, what we used to call a weak eagle back in the day, then we'll reach him. And then there's other things we can do if they're going to put him right here and we can't reach him. We'll talk about that another time. So he's going to block back on the nose right here. We're going to pull flat with the backside guard, then get depth. I teach him, always did, and I still do it. And we do a drill. We get a cone back here for him and a cone back here for front side. Get his depth so he can make that turn better. And he's looking for the H's down block. The backside guard, getting up in here, eyes inside, looking for scraping Mike right there. All right, the running back's going to come right here. We're going to ride it, even though we may not be reading anything to make it look that way. He's going to come right here, and in drills, we put a cone right here, and he's going to make that good old-fashioned 90-degree cut. Now, because in the gun, you don't have what we used to call the touchdown block coming across right here on that safety, and then the second cut. We don't get the second cut as often in the gun as we used to when we were under center. Because on the backside, we're doing our gap flip or our gap hinge to keep a good backside 5 from squeezing and running down the play and making the tackle right here as he comes right here. And yes, they make guys like that, and we see them. All right, on the backside, there's a multitude of things you can do. You can do this right here. If the dog has moved in here, you've got a bubble and a stalk, okay? And the quarterback can pre-snap that if he knows that dog can't make the play, and he'll just make the fake, raise up, and pop the bubble right here. Or you can do something we talked about last time when we looked at the one-back power. We can read the will, the backside inside linebacker, who we're not blocking, notice. You know, if he's a whale of a player and he can scrape clean, he can make the play for a 4-yard gain, and we'll take that. But we want to read him, and we'll run double slants right here and get behind that joker. And you say, well, what if that dog jumps him, that outside backer jumps him and takes away that? But when we do that, we're doing a double slant. I call that a diamond slant. Get an outside release, get that corner thinking this, and then come back inside right here, and he'll be on a different level. And the quarterback reads Will doing this, and he raises up, and we don't have to worry about the end in his face because we're gap flipping or gap hinging him right here. He can raise up, oh, there's the dog in there, and we'll hit the X on the backside, and that's 2 RPOs right there off the same play. And there's a multitude of other things you can do off that. You can also do it this way. Again, this is depending on you. It's kind of like putting salt in your food. It's whatever you want. You can run a slant bubble. Okay, that corner's playing. You're going to run that corner right there, run with that slant right there, or if that corner just going to do like most of ours do and just bail and get out of dodge. And then you can sit here and you can read this guy again and raise up, dog's there, throw the bubble, dog's gone, coming in here, you can throw the slant, and you got a whale of a football play right there too. Now let's look at some different ways to do it. Let me remember to erase and get rid of that Z, and we'll move him over here. Now the advantage of running it to the trips is this, it's going to widen out the force. And we had some good success with this over the years, especially a few years ago. And notice it doesn't really change anything. And you can do some front side RPOs off that, which I'm not going to tell you what I don't know or what I'm not comfortable with, but I'm learning front side RPOs right now. We're going to get into some of those probably this coming up season and do some this spring and during the off season. But notice right here, you get a better, easier kick on the force player right there, and you can do some front side stuff right here or like that, you know, win the inside, or you can do this, bubble him, that's right, soften that dog up even more and get you a slant right here. Tell this joker win the inside on that corner. Okay, now that dog comes flying up, that becomes the read now. The read's no longer the wheel on the backside. The read now is the front side dog. It's a front side read, so he's coming right here. And again, I'm not an expert on this. This is stuff I'm learning and getting into. And I've been running buck for years. You know, years. We're talking over 2 decades. But doing this with it is something kind of new to me. And so what we're going to do, we can bubble this joker right here, tell him to win that inside, teach the quarterback on the trips buck, it's a front side read on the RPO. Okay, and if that dog, force guy, comes flying up, you get this right here from your guard. So instead of going up, he's getting the kick right here. And look, there's nobody in that alley. So you got a clean alley to throw that slant in right there. Now here's the reason I love, when I first started learning about RPOs several years ago, I got the notion that it was better to do it out of zone scheme. You know, make sure everybody on the line was matched up. But now I've decided that the gap scheme might just be a little better, because for years linebackers have been taught by their coaches that guards don't lie. Well, see, so this will is going to run like a madman to a pulling guard. A lot of them will, especially in high school football. Now, we're not talking what they do on Saturdays. We're talking about what we do on Fridays and the teams we play against do on Fridays. So you're looking at this right here. He sees a guard pulling. He sees a guard pulling. Okay? He's going to run to the guards because a lot of people are taught guards don't lie. Okay, and they're not lying. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and we're trying to run buck. But if they're flying out of there, you got the backside stuff. Okay, same thing over here at a different scenario. He sees that guard coming right here to kick him. He's going to come up to force. Maybe wrong arm him and bounce it. But either way, he's out of the passing lane, and you got a front side RPO. So I love the idea of throwing RPOs off a gap scheme. And again, notice every man on the line is covered. Now, that's not something you want to do on 3rd and long if it's a blitzing situation, because then you got run-throughs like all day for guys to run through and hit your quarterback in the mouth. All right. The other thing that I was going to tell you about this is that the buck is a slower developing play. Again, you know that. All right, so you're not going to get men downfield. See, he's engaged, and he's in the backfield anyway. The tackle is on the backside. So my point, in high school football, a lot of folks don't know this is still a rule. You can be downfield if you're engaged blocking the guy. Now, you can't go down the field and block the free safety right before the ball's thrown or while the ball's in the air. But high school federation rules, national federation rules, if I come off and drive this joker, let's say I got a whale of a right tackle, and he drives this joker 8 yards deep, and the ball's caught over here and he's 8 yards deep, as long as he's engaged with that 3-tech that he's driven, that's not a penalty. And every now and then you got to remind referees of that, because you just don't see it much. But now that the RPO is coming back into vogue, and I've talked to some referee friends of mine, the guys that I know, and they said, yeah, they talk about that now. You know, it's back, you know, you need to know that. They need to know that, most of them do. And coaches, you need to know that. So the buck is slow developing. The only guy that's going to get downfield is the backside guard. Well, look, he's the last one. You're getting a kick here. That's in the backfield. You may get a kick right here. If it comes right here, that's good. The new rule that's coming into play this year is that they can't be more than a yard downfield. Okay, when the ball is thrown, not when it's caught. Okay, so when he comes right here and turns up, before he gets to the line of scrimmage, that ball should be gone here or gone back here, and so you're in good shape. The buck sweep is a great play. It's a good old-fashioned football play that's been around forever. God bless Tubby Raymond and the Delaware Mud Hens. It's a great football play. Blue Hens. Mud Hens are in Toledo. Thank you, Corporal Klinger from MASH. The Blue Hens and Tubby Raymond for giving us the buck sweep, because it's still giving back to us. And in modern football with RPOs, the buck is a great play. Okay? So even though we talk buck today, remember what I always tell you. Keep on jetting and be elite. Thanks.